Not everybody in the WWE can be a top star. Not even everybody in the WWE can be a top mid carder. Sometimes you just got to be ass. No matter what, either it's whether you just don't get the opportunity to like actually do something, or they give you the opportunity and you just flop. There's been a lot of both of those. So it's like, damn, bro. And some of these people I actually like because some of them they're really good in the ring. They can do damn near every move in the book, but it's just like we just don't care because they're boring, bro. They have no aura, bro. No matter what character they do, whatever, no matter what gimmick they have, or they just don't get the chance to show what they can actually do because they just get held by management sometimes. Hey, that's just how it is sometimes, bro. But this is a video from Wrestle with Andy called Wrestlers That Can't Get Over. These dudes got no aura, and women too, because I'm pretty sure there's we're gonna get into this, bro.
Appear to have all the qualities required to be a star in theory, but once put into practice, something is missing.
Oh, y'all remember Money in the Bank Theory, bro? Oh my God, Cruiserweight Cedric.
This stops them from ever truly
Mohawk
getting over.
Cedric.
It's happened with a wide range of performers throughout
Shayna,
history, but who are the most notable examples of
OC.
these people in WWE today? Well, that's exactly what we're
Cole
going to be
Anderson,
looking at
yeah,
right now,
a lot of these
starting with Karrion Kross. Now, there are some people...
I don't know why I called Karrion Kross Carl Anderson, but the OC, you got Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, you got Karrion Kross, you got Shayna Baszler. It's like, and some of these people had like crazy NXT runs too. That's the crazy part.
who it's understandable never got over in WWE as their style and look just never quite meshed with the company. But when you look at Karrion Kross, standing 6'4" with a great physique, with a beautiful wife by his side, you have to wonder how it's possible he's managed to fail in WWE thus far. After all, just on looks alone, he should be everything the company is searching for in a
I like
top
his
guy.
promos
But
too,
for
bro.
whatever reason, whether it's been under Triple H on NXT, under Vince McMahon on the main roster, or then again under Triple H on the main roster, something about Kross just hasn't clicked with audiences. Is he just a victim of modern fans having different appetites?
Probably.
It's possible. And if that
Karrion
is the
Kross is
reason,
really good,
then he's
bro.
going to have to figure something different out, because as it stands right now, he's stuck in the
What is
mid-card, with it feeling like he's spent the last 2 years doing nothing but feuding with the likes of Bobby Lashley and the New Day in programs that most fans weren't interested in. Yes, sadly, the
No, that New Day one, we were interested. That Bobby Lashley one, nah. But that New Day one, yeah, because we was gonna get Xavier Woods. I mean, we're still gonna get it, but now it's like, and didn't he like spaz on like the LWO? Like they're going a different direction with it now because obviously Odyssey Jones got fired. I made a video on that. Y'all can go watch that, but. Yeah, that's still happening, but it's just different now. I think he's trying to get the Miz now. I think he's trying to get Miz to turn on R-Truth or some shit.
cross match of any given episode of Monday Night Raw has fast become a low point of the show to many fans. That said, even if he's failed to get over in WWE thus far, there is still hope for Kross. Hell, he managed to become a big deal in TNA, so there's certainly a lot of
in
star
TNA?
potential hidden away in there. Is it just a case of can he find a way to tap into it at this point and draw it out for a larger stage? We guess we'll just have to wait and see if this ever happens. And while we're waiting for that, we'll also be waiting to see if our next subject can manage to become a star herself. Who are we talking about here? Why, Zoe Stark, of course.
Zoe.
Now again, like with Karrion Kross,
Yeah, this is one of those I was like, dang, I like Zoe too. They put her with Trish Stratus and everything, as soon as she got to the main roster, and like still, people do not care about no Zoe Stark, bro. She's in that little faction, I don't know what it's called, the Fusion. The something fusion, I don't know what it's called, but it's her, Shayna Baszler, and Sonya Deville, who just came back like a few months ago.
on the face of things, Zoe Stark seems to tick all the boxes required for being a star, as she certainly has the look, and more so to that, she can also go in the ring too.
Yeah, bro, I like
and this
Zoe.
is something which was evident in her time on NXT when she briefly became a women's tag team champion with Io Shirai. That said, ever since moving up to the main roster in 2023, the Salt Lake City native has been unable to replicate even a portion of this success, as rather than ascend to superstardom, her most notable role there has been to mostly serve as a third wheel in the Becky Lynch-Trish Stratus feud. Yes, she's had some wins, and she's even gotten a title shot or two on Raw, but there was never any point where it felt like she was going to become champion, and any of the wins she's gotten have been over people lower down on the pecking order than her. Yes, Zoe Stark has just never quite connected with fans during her time on the main roster. Of course,
I mean, she beat Becky. She cheated, I think, but she beat Becky Lynch. But I think it's because like I have to rewatch that feud. That was a really good feud. That Becky Lynch Trish Stratus. But
with her recently
she
having
beat
formed a
Becky, I
brand new
think.
stable with Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler named the Pure Fusion Collective, there
The Pure Fusion Collective. My fault. Let me remember that because I low key I low key disrespect that. I said something fusion. The Pure Fusion Collective. I'm glad I know that name now, so I can put the name in WWE 2K24 because I couldn't put y'all as a trio yet because I didn't know the team name.
remains a chance this will change in
The
the
Pure
coming weeks
Fusion
and months.
Collective.
One person we
gonna have
don't
to
see
keep
having
saying
a
this so I
change of
can remember
fortunes
it.
as time goes on, though, are our next subject. And the reason we say that is because when it comes to the,
The
Good
Good
Brothers,
Brothers.
they seem to be stuck down on NXT, helping to get the next generation of stars over. Yes, it seems like the former
I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even think they care. They had their time, like right here. They're the Raw Tag Team Champion. They had their time in the 2010s, like the mid 2010s. So it's like they just collected a check at this point. I don't even think they mad about it because they're still there. Why would they come back just to be on the mid card? Like they here to get that money. Oh, come on.
tag team champions have had their time in the sun, and from this point on, there's little hope of them getting over with fans in
Yeah, I
any
know.
meaningful way. And this is
I still like
unfortunate,
seeing them though.
as despite being very good wrestlers,
They some
neither
legends,
of them
bro.
have ever
They-
really clicked with
it's just
fans
not-
in
it's just not that time no
WWE
more.
during any of their runs in the company. Could things be different for them? Sure. But it would certainly call for a major shift in fortune to take place, as with both
Oh,
men now
yeah.
in their 40s,
I was about to say, yeah, they're old, and I don't think they're like cool with AJ in the story anymore. Cause I remember, I think Carl Anderson went against AJ when AJ first turned heel.
it's much more likely the pair will remain in the veterans role for the remainder of their careers.
Yeah,
However,
they
it
getting
seems
their
the
bag,
pair
bro.
are happy enough in this position. That
They're
said,
getting the money.
not everyone is this way inclined. No, some really want to get over with fans, but circumstances keep stalling them in doing so, and this has rarely been more evident than with our next subject, Tegan Nox.
Tegan.
Yes, Tegan Nox is a very good wrestler, good enough that there's little reason she shouldn't have become a star in WWE during the late 2010s and early 2020s. Just look at how close she's come to reaching this level back when she was having her feud with Dakota Kai on NXT in 2020.
See, I'm gonna have to watch. The reason why I don't really care about Tegan Nox is just I'm just too unfamiliar with her. The only Tegan Nox I've actually seen was when she returned, I guess. That was my first time seeing her, but like when she returned to the main roster, and I think she was like tag teaming with like Natalia. Like she wasn't really doing anything.
Sadly for her, though,
And
so
she's
much
still
of her
not-
momentum over the years has been stalled
But
by
I'm
injury.
not-
That's right.
Oh,
Since joining WWE,
I do remember in 2K24 and like the when they do the commentary when they do the entrance. I think they said she tore her Achilles or something like that, or like ACL.
in 2017, the Wales native has suffered 2 torn ACLs, each of which
Twice?
took her out of action
God
for close to
damn.
a year. But that shouldn't be a problem
that's
going
hard to-
forward with her, right? After all, she
that's
seems to
hard
be
to come
healthy
back from.
now. Well, while you may think that Nox would be primed to reach that next level as she's currently a member of the SmackDown roster, it doesn't appear that Creative have anything for her anymore. And we know this
Yeah,
because she hasn't been seen much on TV since the 2024 Royal Rumble. All of this is to say then that if the woman with the shiniest wizard hasn't gotten over in WWE already, we don't have much hope for her chances of getting over in the future, as it doesn't look like she's got many more opportunities coming down the pipeline. Who knows? Maybe she'll end up leaving the company altogether, make a name for herself outside,
She
and
should.
then return back at a later time, similar to the likes of Drew McIntyre or Cody Rhodes. One person we don't see venturing outside of the promotion, though, is our next subject, because despite never really getting over there, he seems
Corbin?
to be a WWE lifer. That's right, it's time to talk about Baron Corbin. Yes, in some way we understand this one, yet in some ways it truly puzzles us, as
Yeah,
well,
it's
no one is
like-
ever going to accuse Baron Corbin of being the most entertaining wrestler. His look and style seemed tailor-made for him to become a big star during the latter years of Vince McMahon's time on top. And it wasn't like the boss didn't try to go all in with Corbin at various points. Hell, at one point he actually
Money in
booked
the
him to win
Bank,
the Money in the
yeah.
Bank contract.
Lone Wolf
and
Corbin.
even once his subsequent cash-in attempt failed, Corbin would continue to remain near the top of the card in feuds against the likes of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. But no matter how much he was pushed, fans just never really took to the Kansas native en masse. No, there's always been a sense with Baron Corbin that he's missing that it factor which would truly push him up to the next level. And because he's missing that, he seems to have hit his ceiling in WWE. Triple H seems to have recognized this too, as since he took over as head of creative, he's done little of note with the big man. In
Oh my god, bro, that JBL promo, bro. I remember that because I think I watched that whole show, bro. That was when Corbin was calling himself. This was before he went back to NXT. That was when he was calling himself the modern day wrestling god. And JBO was in his corner and shit, and he lost like quick as hell. JBO fucking chewed him out backstage. Pause.
In fact, the most notable thing he has done is send Corbin down to NXT for a while. And while Corbin's tag team run with Braun Breaker on NXT was entertaining, it was unlikely to turn things around for him in any significant way. Yes, it seems like the days of Baron Corbin getting pushed in WWE may be over. After all, if Corbin was ever going to click with fans, he surely would have done so by now. Maybe, like with Karrion Kross, he's just a man who's in the wrong time, as had he been around during the 80s, he would have had a much better time of it serving the role of villain to Hulk Hogan. But let's move away from heavyweights for a moment and onto the cruiserweights, as it's there we find our next subject, someone who has just never
Cedric
managed to pull it all
Alexander.
together in WWE for one reason or another,
Damn.
Cedric Alexander. Yes, when it comes to Cedric Alexander, we can see why he never got over with Vince McMahon during the late 2010s, as he was always undersized.
Yeah.
But why did he never get over with
And black.
main roster fans? Well, that's a far more puzzling story. The only thing we can think of is that those watching the show back then just didn't connect with him due to his lack of a character. That's right, we all
That too. Cedric. I can't even think of a Cedric Alexander promo. He's one of those people I said that's just really good in the ring, but like boring.
know cruiserweights have never
Like,
exactly been
personality
shown
wise.
in the best possible light, but for as much as their pushes might not have matched it, whenever someone like a Neville or Enzo Amore got a chance to perform, they did seem to get over with fans to some extent. For one reason or another, though, the same could never really be said about the Charlotte native, even when he himself was Cruiserweight champion. Even when he was a part of the Hurt Business, Cedric never really caught on with fans, as he was always playing second or third fiddle to other members of the stable, as he pretty much served the role of designated pin eater, not exactly a star-making slot.
Yeah.
And since the Hurt Business is split,
Pin
the
eater
former
is crazy.
Cruiserweight champion has done even less of note, with the only thing he's done is being part of a tag team with someone we'll get to in a moment. A duo which hasn't exactly led to a lot of success so far. No,
Yeah, about to say him and Ashanti are they on NXT now?
it seems like at this point, years of not getting over have left fans with a permanent impression of who Cedric Alexander is and what he can be, and that impression is not a good one. So it shouldn't be a surprise that he continues to be someone who doesn't get over now that he's been sent down to NXT.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll also end up being a performer who leaves the company only to return a more well-rounded version of himself, where he can change the image fans have of him. But what about that tag team partner of his we alluded to a moment ago? After all, he's also someone who's struggled to get over with fans. Who are we talking about here? Like Ashanti the Adonis. Yeah,
Damn.
that's right. Cast your minds back to the turn of the decade NXT, the dying days of the black and gold incarnation of the brand. That was where Hit Row first made a splash as a foursome who could not only work together in the ring, but who could also put out a song or two when they weren't booked for competition that night. But while there was a lot of potential to be found in this stable as just that, a stable,
NXT
when its
swear.
members were separated, not all of them proved to be as successful as others. No, they all met with differing levels of triumph, with Isaiah Swerve Scott going on to become the AEW champion, Top Dollar being released and currently working for TNA, and Beef
I think Top Dollar became the digital media champion of TNA as well.
Fab now being the manager of the Street Profits. Of course, there was a fourth member of Hit Row, Ashanti the Adonis. What made life so difficult for the New Jersey native as the 2020s kicked into full gear? Well, there was just nothing that memorable about his gimmick, unfortunately.
What's he
In
doing?
a company filled with great talents, Adonis was just never able to stand out, and for that reason, audiences have reacted to him in the mildest way imaginable every time he's appeared in front of them in recent years. To be fair to him, though, he has always been booked to be a lower card act, with him currently serving as a tag team partner to Cedric Alexander. But then sometimes you have to work with what you're given and make the best of it, and that really hasn't gotten over with fans either. No, Cedric must take his part in the responsibility too when it comes to not getting a reaction from fans, just like our next subjects have. Who are we talking about this time? Who else but Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde? That's right, we were
Bro, the LWO ain't even the LWO, bro. It's just Rey Mysterio and friends.
never expecting Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde to main event WrestleMania or anything, but they have been given some decent opportunities to shine on both Raw and SmackDown since they first arrived on the main roster in 2022. Hell, even before that, they were getting a decent go of it down in NXT. In fact, as far back as the mid-2010s, Del Toro was being given a singles run in the Cruiserweight division under the name of Raul Mendoza. Sadly, though, even if they have been getting TV time, whether that be as a part of Legado del Fantasma or the LWO, they've never really been able to build any real momentum as a serious threat in fans' eyes. With the reason for this most likely being that despite getting opportunities to show what they can do in the ring, they're rarely booked like stars, a team who you could believe were going all the way to the top. Rather,
they're the designated pin eaters, like you said earlier.
Toro and Wilde have consistently been presented as people there to do the job to bigger stars and be sidekicks to a more powerful leader. It doesn't matter if it was Santos Escobar in the former stable or Rey Mysterio in the latter, it's always been clear who the real leader is, and at no point has it ever been this duo. Still, you don't have to be a leader to get over with fans. All you have to be is good, right? Well, not in this case. Because good simply hasn't been enough to get audiences invested in the two at any point. No, we're now at a stage where, even if they can go in the ring, and they've proven this whenever they've been given the chance, they've long since fallen into that utility role of being a good worker who few fans are invested in. That said, at least Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde can take some solace in the fact that they are not alone in being in this position on the current day WWE roster.
True.
In fact, they're not even the only people who have been a part of Legado del Fantasma who this applies to. No, the exact same fate has fallen upon our next subjects too, Angel and Berto. Really, this one hurts because anyone who's been watching WWE TV over the last few years will be all too aware of how capable Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo are in the ring. It's been evident since they both joined NXT during the late 2010s. Hell, there's a reason the former would have a run as Cruiserweight champion while there. But ever since making it up to the main roster at the turn of the decade and being paired up as part of a stable with Andrade and Zelina Vega, things have faltered dramatically for the Monterrey natives. Yes, at this point, with Andrade being the star of the group and Zelina the mouthpiece, Los Lotharios quickly fell into the role of being designated pin eaters during multi-man bouts. And that was a stink which would remain with them even after Andrade left the company and the remaining members of the stable all became part of Legado del Fantasma. So bad has it gotten for the two cousins, in fact, it's difficult to imagine a situation today where fans could be given a reason to seriously get invested in them. Sure, they've had some successes, but these have been so few and far between that they often go forgotten, with their failings being all the more memorable. And those failings have certainly been noteworthy, such as the time the pair were given the opportunity to go back down to NXT and there win the tag team titles for their stable, something they were ultimately unable to do. All of this is to say then, it seems like Angel and Berto's hopes of ever getting over with fans in WWE might be dead now, as once you hit that point they have, it's very hard to overcome it. Really, the best thing for them to do as things stand today might be to also take a journey out elsewhere, maybe back down to their native Mexico for a while, where they could rebuild themselves in a place like AAA or CMLL. It's something which has worked wonders for other people in the past, though heading to the indies and coming back certainly hasn't been a method which has worked out for everyone. And if you need any evidence of this, you only have to look at our next subject, the Authors of Pain. Now, if this was the golden era, we'd have no doubt the Authors of Pain would be mega over as a tag team, as everything about their presentation would have fit in perfectly with the era of the Road Warriors and the British Bulldogs. In late 2010s and early 2020s,
It's two big-ass motherfuckers.
WWE, however, with the focus being more on smaller athletic stars who can go in the ring, Akam and Razor just haven't been able to live up to the hype surrounding them.
If this was like the 80s or 90s,
there hasn't been a single incident of such a thing happening either.
Been up there.
No, despite having a decent run on NXT between 2016 and 2018,
they just can't move like that.
Becoming Raw Tag Team Champions for a while upon getting called up to the main roster thereafter. The AOP's first run in WWE was characterized by them feeling like a duo that few fans really cared about. So when they were cut from their contracts in 2020 then, it could have turned out as a blessing in disguise for the men from British Columbia and Amsterdam respectively, as now they had a chance to rebuild themselves on the indie circuit, all with the hopes of one day returning to WWE stronger than they had been. Unfortunately though, when they eventually did return to WWE in late 2023, they'd immediately be placed into the Final Testament, and with this stable never really gaining any traction with the crowd, it pretty much was impossible for fans to care about anything they were doing all over again. Really, considering how much steam they were initially building up in NXT,
That
it's
finisher fire.
unfortunate to think that the AOP have failed this hard on 2 separate occasions when it comes to getting over with audiences. But what about our next subject? That being
Damn, Shayna Baszler.
Yes, while she briefly got over in NXT, she's never fully been able to connect with fans during her time spent on the main roster. In fact,
She beat Ronda Rousey in her last match and everything too.
In fact, the only time it
And
seemed like
she didn't
Shayna
get
was
nothing
about to
from
get
that.
over with the audience was in early 2020 when she won the Elimination Chamber and earned a spot to take
Oh,
on
wow.
then Women's Champion
I didn't
Becky
know this.
Lynch at WrestleMania. Unfortunately,
2020,
though, this
I
was
wonder
around
where
the
it is.
exact time that we moved into empty arenas,
Yes,
so all
COVID
this
era.
momentum would be stopped stone dead. And by the time
Oh wow, so Shayna got hold by COVID. That's crazy.
crowds returned to arenas, her moment was over.
Yeah.
That's right, even though she had a great run down on the developmental brand, as well as having the legit credentials of being a former UFC fighter, she just never quite clicked with the audience once they were back in attendance at shows. And this is really unfortunate, as the Queen of Spades is more than capable of becoming great. Maybe all she needs is a manager to act as a mouthpiece to help her character get over, and like we've mentioned before, with her now in a stable alongside Sonya Deville and Zoe Stark, maybe this will light the spark to take her career to the next level and finally get her over with fans for the first time on the main roster. However, with her now reaching her mid-40s, her chance to get over with fans is likely getting smaller and smaller, so we really do hope that she can figure it all out sooner rather than later. And if this happens, Baszler will finally meet her potential. So all we can do now then is keep our fingers crossed that her day in the sun will finally come. But then we suppose the same thing could be said about everyone we've discussed today, because they each show that even if you're talented, getting over can be a hard thing.
Yeah, but like I said, sometimes you're just really good and then people just don't care, bro. Some people don't get the opportunity, but like these are people who like that's shown the potential that they could be a big star, but then just like and then nothing just happens, bro. That's crazy. Like I said though, not everybody can be a top star, bro. Sometimes you just gotta be ass. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.